This video that you're about to see is absolutely incredible. The CEO of YouTube went on a show to be interviewed here. I'm not sure. Was it? Hold on one second and I'll tell you. I think it's at the World Economic Forum, that the Global Technology Governance Summit at the World Economic Forum. So she was interviewed, and there were a variety of very interesting questions. I actually give a lot of credit to this interviewer for really discussing topics that are relevant to what's going on today. She's going to basically admit, the CEO of YouTube, like, yeah, we suppress independent news and politics because we feel like we have no choice and we have to do that. And this is incredible because this is something that YouTube liaisons, people who work for YouTube that talk to a lot of these independent creators, they will never admit it to your face, ever. They will never say, oh, there's multiple algorithms or your stuff is being suppressed, or, we have a tier ranking system that allows certain things to get to new audiences and certain things not to. They will never admit that to you. But here you have the CEO of YouTube admitting it openly in an interview. So let's watch. It's a long video, but it's worth it every second. So pay close attention, and then we're going to come back and discuss it more.
How do you think about incentivizing not just kind of run-of-the-mill sugar, not bad, but like the really good stuff? Like, what's the exact inverse of the violative content?
First of all, it's really hard to say this is a content that is really great. I think you started talking about educational content. You implied with the Rubik's Cube that educational content had this higher premium. I'd say educational content is incredibly important to YouTube, and that almost everyone comes to YouTube to learn something. In fact, we just had this Ipsos study that said over 77% of people said they came to YouTube to learn something. And just anecdotally, everyone tells me how they fix something in their house. But I think what you're bringing up is one of these challenges: is what is considered good content. We do classify, when it comes to information, authoritative content. So if you're looking for COVID information, we actually can say, look, the health organization, your local health authority, the CDC, or whatever country you're in, or the World Health Organization, those are organizations that we can trust, as opposed to some channel that just showed up that we don't have any kind of authoritative information about. So we definitely have a concept with information about authoritative sources, and we make sure that when people are looking for information that is sensitive, that we show those authoritative sources. But if you're in the entertainment area, or you're looking how to fix something or how to learn something on an obscure topic, it's really hard to put some judgment about what is the best content that's out there.
Tell me how you think about the evolution of the algorithm right now, where it is right now. What are the key things you're prioritizing and trying to fix? And what are the things you're worried about?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I think we've come a long way in our algorithm. Ultimately, we want to give information and suggest videos to our users that we think they're going to enjoy and want to see and related are to their interests. But there's a lot of caveats to that too. So first of all, as I mentioned, when we deal with information, we want to make sure that the sources that we're recommending are authoritative: news, medical, science, etc. And we also have created a category of more borderline content, where sometimes we'll see people looking at content that is, or it'll be content that's lower quality and borderline. And so we want to be careful about not over recommending that. So that's a content that stays on the platform, but it's not something that we're going to recommend. And so our algorithms have definitely evolved in terms of handling all these different content types. I'd say the plus of that is that our users are able to see higher quality content. They're also able to, we're able to make sure that they're getting information from sources that are very reliable. But I would say the con of potentially some of these changes, because as you pointed out, every change has some downside, is it may be harder in some cases for channels maybe who are getting started or smaller to be able to be visible when there is a major event, or when people are looking at something that is science or news related. But I would say that that's a trade-off that we've made, because we've realized that it's really, really important. So we learned this lesson the hard way. So when we had the Las Vegas shooting, unfortunately, there were a lot of people who were uploading content that was not factual, that was not correct. And it's much easier to just make up content and post it from your your basement than it is to actually go to the site and to be able to report and have high quality journalistic reporting. And so that was just an example of what happens if you don't have that kind of ranking. So sure, we want to enable citizen journalism and other people to be able to report and other people to be able to share information in new channels. But when we're dealing with a sensitive topic, we have to have that information coming from authoritative sources so that the right and accurate information is viewed by our users first.
And that's not an easy trade-off. I mean, your name is YouTube. The whole principle is that anyone can have complete free speech and publish whatever they want, or that was the founding principle. I would imagine that this is a trade-off that did not come lightly. So it's
it is. I lost you on the last second there, broke up a little bit, but you're right. Like we came from YouTube, and YouTube, when YouTube first started, it was much more entertainment. It was much more focused on creating interesting things that you saw, funny videos. Music has always been really big on YouTube. And you definitely want to be able to break the latest artists. And so that's something that we need to think about. So when there's a new, we have so many artists who got started on YouTube. So when we have our next, some famous artist like Shawn Mendes or Justin Bieber who got started on YouTube and they post their video, we want to be able to enable those new artists to break. But if you look at that, breaking artists or discovering the new latest small musician is very different if you're looking for something like cancer information. You don't want to see someone who is just posting information for the first time when you're dealing with cancer. You want to see it from established medical organization. And so what we've done is really fine tune our algorithms to be able to make sure that we are still giving the new creators the ability to be found when it comes to music or humor or something funny, or so many different categories: beauty, crafts, learning, how to, right? All these different areas. But we're dealing with sensitive areas. We really need to take a different approach.
There it is. So I'm punished, and all of my friends who are in independent news and politics are punished because some people out there pushed conspiracy theories about the Las Vegas shooting. Did I push them? No. Some people did, and now I'm punished as a result of it. I'm punished because some people push bogus cancer information or medical information. Have I pushed it? No. Have I said anything about COVID-19, for example? That's misinformation. Everything I've said and everything I believe on that is sourced from official medical outlets and experts. But I'm punished because some people are crazy. And every friend of mine who's in independent news and politics is punished because some people are crazy. This is astounding what she just said. Let's go through some of the points. The original question was, hey, what's the inverse of the violative content that you try to punish? And I can answer that question. I don't think the YouTube CEO did a great job of giving a straightforward answer there. The answer is very simple. The main YouTube page. The opposite of being pushed down in the algorithm is they put your video on the main page and then it blows up and it instantly gets, over 1 million views, millions of views. That's the opposite. The other thing is a video that really pops in the algorithm where it's just recommended to people a lot if they happen to be in the topic that you're covering, whether it's makeup tutorials or news and politics or whatever it may be. A video that's rewarded is one that gets recommended a lot. And there's obviously giant differences between what videos get recommended and what videos don't get recommended. Some do, some don't. So that's the answer to that question. Then she admits, listen, quote, we classify when it comes to information authoritative content. We classify when it comes to information authoritative content. Now, you might think, hey, well, I don't know, that sounds kind of reasonable. You don't want misinformation spreading everywhere. But again, the whole point of YouTube was we're this free and open platform and anybody can post about anything. And it's kind of like a meritocracy. Your video might take off and do well, and if it does, credit to you. Now, I get it. It's a difficult thing. There's a lot of people out there that say crazy things, believe crazy things, and, you don't want to create some widespread belief that's detrimental to public health or whatever. as a result of some asshole getting something wrong. But who's going to watch the Watchmen? I mean, that's the most important point, right? So when you say we classify when it comes to information authoritative content, why isn't a better solution to do one of the things that they're already doing, by the way, which is just put a little link underneath one of the videos to whatever you deem as the most authoritative content. Now, by the way, YouTube isn't always going to get it right, because nobody is a ministry of truth and nobody is objectively correct about everything. Everything involves, judgment calls. So I'm not saying they're going to get it right all the time, but if you wanted to do something that's like fair, and doesn't punish people who don't deserve to be punished, then you just put links underneath the videos. Like every time you say something about COVID-19, right underneath it's like, here's a link to the CDC and the FDA and whatever, and this is what they say about COVID. Now, by the way, it was Fauci, the head of science and medicine in our government, who was like, yeah, masks don't work. He said that, a year and a half ago or some shit? Now, is he going to be punished as a result of that? Do you have a warning on a Fauci video? Will you pull down a Fauci video? Will you not recommend the Fauci videos in the algorithm as a result of what he said? No. See, they get a pass because you've just deemed them as official sources. Whereas if some schmuck said masks don't work, they would be pushed down in the algorithm or banned, or their video would be pulled, or there'd be some sort of warning on it, or there'd be some age restriction or whatever. So you're never going to have a ministry of truth that's accurate. But even if I grant you that this is a problem and you need to do something about it, just put the links under the videos and that's it. Instead, what they do is create this massive headache, this massive bureaucracy. They do subjective judgments and they punish people who shouldn't be punished. Then she admits, she says, and I've known this for a long time, she says, entertainment and obscure topics basically get a pass. So you understand that? There are no rankings for entertainment or obscure topics because, hey, it's subjective. It's, you might like one thing, this guy might like another thing. Is the difference between chocolate ice cream and vanilla ice cream? If you're watching content on whatever it may be, some sport that you love, or, some artist or whatever, some singer, they say, well, there are no things that are just factually correct and factually incorrect about these things. So we just sort of let it go. And I've seen that with my own two eyes. Channels that are obviously not nearly as popular as this channel in other topics, just zooming by me in every metric, subs, views, etc. And it's because the algorithm doesn't crush them, whereas the algorithm crushes us. Then she says, again, she's screaming it through a megaphone. It's kind of amazing. Quote, we've created a category of more borderline content. We want to be careful about not over-recommending that. There it is. That's exactly, what have I been telling you? The main way that they punish this channel is to have some sort of official ranking behind the scenes as, Kyle's borderline content. And so what does that mean? There's a reason why the sub growth on this channel has ground to a halt, almost a total halt. Why? Because back in the day, if you're watching news and politics anywhere on YouTube, you might get recommended a secular talk video. You could be watching CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, or some other independent creator, or whatever video you want in the topic of news and politics, and you might get recommended a secular talk video. So my stuff would be recommended all over the place because we do a lot of content, it gets a decent number of views, and there's a meritocracy type thing where that is rewarded in and of itself. And so I was growing at 30,000, 40,000 subs a month. Now we gain like 1,000 subs a month. Think about that. Gaining 30,000 or 40,000 subs a month. That was back in the 2016 election, in that time frame. Now, gaining 1,000 or 2,000 subs a month? How is it imploded like that? And the answer is very simple. They just try not to recommend secular talk videos to any new audiences. So if you're a fan of secular talk and you already watch secular talk, you might get recommended videos every now and then. But if somebody has never heard of me, they're not gonna hear about me because we don't get recommended to new audiences. So, this is incredibly punitive and this is completely unfair. It's completely unfair. I obviously would contest the idea that I'm borderline content. I know some people find me controversial or edgy. I don't think I'm that controversial or edgy. You know what I stand for? I like to discuss the news. I like to discuss politics. And so a lot of the stuff I give is just stories I've read, data and information and facts. But beyond that, my personal opinions are not hard to determine. I want everybody to have healthcare. I want everybody to have college. I want everybody to have higher wages. I want to end the wars. These are the things I believe in. YouTube is punishing me for believing in these things. Or they're punishing me because my delivery seems like, that guy screams sometimes and yells sometimes and gets animated, so he seems like he's a little unhinged, might not want to recommend his stuff. I'm being punished. And all the other independent news and politics creators are being punished. She says, quote, people are able to see higher quality content and get information from sources that are reliable. So what that means is, on news and politics, now we're pumping out the authoritative content, which means what? You're going to get spoon-fed CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News. And by the way, you know who they spoon-feed to people who like alternative media? You know this because it's happened to you a million times, I'm sure. You know who they spoon-feed you? John Oliver. Because they say, oh, he's sort of alternative and edgy, even though he's on HBO. People who watch Kyle Kalinske or other lefty YouTubers, let's give them John Oliver. So if you put on the thing where it auto-plays to the next video, oftentimes I go right to John Oliver. Or like The Daily Show, right? So they try to keep it somewhat reasonable where they're like, well, don't give them more secular talk. Give them like John Oliver, because that's edgy and outsiderish, right? This is what they do. So that's what they consider high-quality content. Things that are established, things that are from corporate media. Now, of course, they would have zero answer to the rebuttal on that point, which is what? Those outlets get stuff wrong all the time. For fuck's sake, Brian Williams talked about the beauty of our weapons on the air as we were launching an airstrike against Syria. That could be knocked for promoting violence. You have so many things, conspiracies pushed by mainstream media, like when they pushed for the illegal Iraq war that was based on lies, where they were just citing, the intelligence agencies, and they had no evidence, but they did the propaganda pushing us into war. So they've gotten us in illegal wars. They've done conspiracy theories like Russiagate, which bupkis came of it. There was Mueller didn't get anything regarding Russia and Trump. So these guys can push whatever conspiracy theories they want, and not only are they not punished, they're rewarded because they're lying in the way that's socially acceptable and in a way that the establishment and polite society accepts. Whereas I could be right about everything, but I would still be docked and knocked in the algorithm as borderline content. It is deeply, deeply, deeply unfair. And again, she's just admitting it all right here. She's admitting all this. I would put my record of predictions up against anything any of the mainstream media outlets have said, and I would do much better, but they don't care. They don't care. And then, again, huge admission. She says, it's harder for channels that are getting started to be visible in the areas that pump out authoritative content and push down borderline content. So in other words, if you're starting some sort of news and politics channel now, good luck to you. Because she's saying, as a direct result of our policies and our algorithm, it's harder for you to break through. Because we don't trust you, we don't like you, your very existence makes advertisers skittish, and so therefore we're going to side with the advertisers and we're just going to pump out the narrative that the establishment wants and pump out the corporate media outlets. They're admitting it all right here. And then, you get the line which everybody's talking about now, quote, it's easy to just make up content from your basement. She says that as a put down. That was the whole point of YouTube! YouTube, not elite tube, not top 1% tube. I mean, what has happened to YouTube is people went to YouTube to sort of escape the mainstream nonsense that they see on cable news and on TV, and now YouTube just wants to become cable news and TV. It's a fundamentally different thing. People are coming here to escape that, and you're going to force feed them the stuff they're escaping, like CNN and MSNBC and Fox News. Imagine putting down people making content from their basement when all of YouTube's success is people making content from their basement or their living room or their kitchen or whatever. It's really amazing, man. It really is. It really is. At the very least, if you're going to crush borderline news and pump out authoritative news, at least use a scalpel and not a hatchet. And what they do now is use a hatchet. And they will punish people like Jordan Chariton, for example, and act like he's pushing the Stop the Steal conspiracy when his videos are debunking the Stop the Steal conspiracy. And he was on the ground at the attempted insurrection on January 6th, and he got live stream footage of all of it. So much so, mainstream media outlets licensed the footage from him so they could play it. but it gets pulled down on YouTube on Jordan's channel, but not on the CNN channel and not on the mainstream media channels. Think about that. Think about how backwards and destructive and unfair the system is when the same footage is promoted on mainstream media outlets and pulled down from the independent person who recorded it in the first place. And his channel has been beyond destroyed. This is unacceptable, guys. It's totally unacceptable. And then the final nail in the coffin of the admission here is when she says, quote, "When YouTube first started, it was much more entertainment, funny videos, and music." So that's her saying, that's all we ever wanted it to be. Man, it's a giant headache that any independent and alternative news and politics outlets popped up. Because all they are is a thorn in our side, is a pain in our ass. We don't want them. They scare the advertisers. We want to side with the advertisers. We want as much money as possible from the advertisers. So what are we going to do? We're just going to take the easy way out. We're going to basically destroy all the borderline content, push them down in the algorithm, strangle them out of existence, which is going to happen to a lot of these channels, by the way. And we're going to force feed people the same garbage that they see on TV, because that's the easy way out. We don't have to think about it. We'll get pats on the head from the establishment media. They won't run any more scare pieces because now they're getting rewarded. And really, the idea is just make it TV for certain topics, and on other topics, fine. We'll let you have freedom and a fair algorithm for stuff like entertainment, funny videos, and music. That'll be a meritocracy. News and politics and everything else will be anything but a meritocracy. Because there's a lot of bad people out there that push conspiracy theories regarding the Las Vegas shooting and cancer. Therefore, Kyle needs to be destroyed. And every other independent new media outlet needs to be destroyed. This is insane. I was concerned about this previously, especially when Adpocalypse hit was when it was the worst. And you guys came in and saved the day with Patreon. We lost all of our funding overnight with Adpocalypse. Thankfully, we got some of that funding back. But it's never been the same since then, ever. Never, ever been the same. But I was always a little bit worried about how YouTube can treat us, because at any moment they could pull the rug out from underneath us. I've never been more worried than right now, because I've never seen such an amazing impact on the channel until right now. Guys, the best example I could give is this. Crystal Ball, my co-host for Crystal Kyle and Friends, she also does the show Rising on Hill TV. If you talk to her, she says, we credit a lot of our success, a lot of our growth, a lot of the spark we needed to become relevant to the fact that she would invite on all the independent left-wing media personalities, including me. So they credit, Sagar and Crystal credit, the strength and power and the numbers of our channel and our listeners, you guys, to their success. Now you go look at the numbers on The Hill, on Rising, and you compare them to the numbers on Secular Talk. They sped by me at 1 million miles an hour in sub growth, and they've now sped by me at 1 million miles an hour in views. When she'll post a video, and every now and then a video will get over 1 million views. And why is that? They do phenomenal work, don't get it twisted. I'm not at all besmirching their work. They're great. Obviously, I do a show with Crystal. I think she's one of the best in the field, one of the best in the business. But they also don't get strangled by the algorithm. So a video of theirs could take off and get over 1 million views easy. They surpass me in subs incredibly quickly. Now they've surpassed me in views incredibly quickly. And the whole reason is that The Hill is a corporation, it's on the better algorithm, and so their stuff spreads far and wide. Whereas me, total grind to a halt for subs, total grind to a halt for views. I can't, it's an absolute miracle if a video of mine gets over 200,000 views. It's a miracle if that happens. It's a miracle. And again, the reason is not because the content's worse than it used to be, or it's not good, or we don't have people like the show. It's because none of it gets spread to new people. So listen, I'll put it out there as simple and plain as possible. If you like this show, I never asked for this stuff, but I feel like I have to now because they really are strangling us. If you like this show, do me a favor and subscribe. There are plenty of people who watch who don't subscribe. Do me a favor and subscribe. Do me a favor and like every video. Or not. If you dislike it, hit the dislike button. Just engage, right? So do that. Comment on the videos. Not only subscribe, but also click the bell so you get a notification every time a video drops, because that's huge too. And really just spread this stuff far and wide, man. Share it with people. Share it with new people. Talk to people about it. Do whatever you can. Because even with all that, even if everybody does exactly what I'm saying, we're still not going to make up for the fact that the algorithm hates us. We're just not. It's not going to happen. but at least it'll soften the blow a little bit. And of course, if you like the content and support the content, then you could either go to Patreon and give a small monthly donation, $2 a month, whatever it may be. Anything is appreciated, and I love you dearly if you help out. You know, I know you guys work hard for your money, and it's not easy times out there. I get it. So if you can't do it, I understand. No problem. But if you can do it, just donate a couple bucks a month or whatever it is, and that helps massively on Patreon. Link is in the video description box below. Or you can go to Substack, again, link below, and subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends for the video, which is $5 per month. And I highly recommend that. The videos are amazing. Again, if you can't do it, you don't have the money, I understand. You can still get every podcast for free, but it's the audio version and it drops a day later. But it would be really appreciated if you guys sub on Substack for $5 a month and you get the video. I mean, you want to know the most embarrassing thing maybe ever? Crystal and I, in politics, we're in the top like 20 in news and politics on Substack, which is good. But you know who's ahead of us? Barry Weiss is beating Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. I've never been more embarrassed in my life than to admit that fact. I care so deeply about getting in front of Barry Weiss. And a lot of people who are in front of us are people who are not as popular, and it sort of tears me up a little bit inside. So if you guys could become, subscribers, members to Crystal Kyle and Friends, pay that $5 a month and get the videos the day early, I'd really appreciate it, because at the very least, I want to surpass Barry Weiss. If I can't pass Barry Weiss, I'm totally useless. So anyway, this story really breaks my heart, because it's so... everything we suspected, everything we knew to some extent, now we know it beyond any reasonable doubt, And the only upside of it is, I can now really fully, truly understand in my bones that it ain't me. It really is the YouTube algorithm is holding us back. And it's a painful reality. They really need to change it. Guys, send this video, please, to the YouTube creators Twitter account. I wish I had it with me. I would have told you guys right now what the name of the account is. There's an account that's specifically for the creators and feedback from the creators. Please send this to that account. If I can find it, I'll put it just on the screen right now. Send this video to that account and send it to the CEO of YouTube, because I really think this is unfair and they really need to change it. And these policies are just totally destroying channels that shouldn't be destroyed. Should I really be punished because I believe in ending wars and giving people health care and giving people free college and giving people higher wages? Should I really be punished because I talk in a more aggressive and edgy and entertaining way? I don't think it's fair. I think it needs to change. So try to help out however you can.